So, after a very long time, I've managed to find one of Diddy's victims, and I've managed to find a video about Diddy's victims. So I just want to, this is my approach on what I would think when watching this video.
And proven philanthropist who spent 30 years building his empire, raising his kids, and uplifting the black community. Agnifilo didn't stop there. During a press conference, he doubled down, making it clear that Diddy is innocent and ready to fight these charges. While Diddy's legal team is gearing up for a fight, social media was on a whole different wave. One person posted, "He'll fit in just fine in prison. He's gonna love it there." Another chimed in, "That must be one hell of a case the FBI has on Diddy." Someone else wrote, "Diddy's arrest is gonna start a domino effect, and I'm so here for it. Get all the nasties out of here." People's reactions make it clear. While Diddy's arrest was a shock, it was a long time coming, especially when you start digging into the wild.
I think most of people's reactions on Diddy being arrested was actually good. I don't know why, but a lot of people some seem to be like neutral, but some are good. I hope they catch the rest of them, even though they don't really know any of the details.
Allegations like the ones brought against him by Lil Rod. The Lil Rod case. Back in February of this year, renowned music producer Rodney Jones, also known as Lil Rod, hit Sean Diddy Combs with a bombshell lawsuit accusing him of sexual harassment and assault. The details? Let's just say they're so shocking, folks believe this case is one of the big reasons Diddy's sitting behind bars right now.
Okay, so this case is, according to the video maker, so shocking. It's obvious that this is the reason why Diddy is sitting in a jail cell, eating shitty food that might be covered in maggots, being afraid that maybe other inmates might murder him, and he's sitting in a jail cell right now because of this case and the shockingness of the case. Okay, let's listen to what the case is.
According to the lawsuit, between September 2022 and November 2023, Jones was invited to work on 9 tracks for Diddy's Love album. During that time, Jones didn't just work with Diddy, he practically lived with him, spending months at Diddy's residences in Los Angeles, New York, and Miami.
Wow, that's a nice house. Look at that swimming pool. Look at that house. I would love to live there. I would love to work on songs. This seems like a really good opportunity. Nothing wrong here.
And it wasn't just at home. Jones also spent several weeks on a yacht rented by Diddy in the U.S. Virgin Islands. But it wasn't all luxury, because it's alleged that the lines between work and personal life started to blur in some seriously uncomfortable ways. Throughout his time living with Diddy, Jones claims he was constantly subjected to unwanted groping and touching. These incidents supposedly went...
So there we go. It's got a picture of someone being hugged and a picture of someone touching someone's leg. So he got to live in a nice big house, nice swimming pool, nice garden, working on music, working with someone who has riches and is going to take them on expensive yachts. A nice island looked really good, and get to see the beach. And what the seriousness of groping. Okay, groping's not very comfortable. I do massage. 90% of my clients try grabbing my ass or just like trying to touch me during the session. But yeah, groping is kind of similar to that, only with fully, you can be fully clothed and someone can touch you, someone can hug you, and oh my god, that's shocking. Shocking. He got all that, and occasionally he would be hugged by Diddy very uncomfortably, made him feel very uncomfortable. So this is the reason why Diddy is in a jail cell, surrounded by prisoners, because of groping.
Went down in LA, New York, Florida, and even on that luxury yacht. On top of that, Jones was allegedly forced to work in Diddy's bathroom, while Diddy strolled around naked, showering in a clear glass enclosure, feeling...
Okay, so he would be feeling uncomfortable, being forced to work in a bathroom. I don't know why he'd be forced to work in a bathroom. I'm sure he could just be like, I'm just going to wait outside the bathroom. But yeah, according to this lawsuit, he was forced into the bathroom and saw him walk around naked. I don't know why he would be forced into the bathroom to work and see him naked. I don't know how would you implement force to force someone to work in a bathroom with a naked guy, with the person you're working with. Okay, he's working with Diddy. I don't know why Diddy would be naked. Maybe he feels some people are nudists and they like being naked and walking around the house, and maybe he wanted to talk about business and was in the bathroom and was just like, I'm only going to talk to you in here, which is a bit crazy. It's a bit mad. I can imagine him actually saying something like that, you know, I want to talk about this. Well, I want to be in the bathroom naked, come in, and him just being like, okay, I'm feeling a bit uncomfortable, but I'm going to come in. But yeah, because of this, Diddy deserves to be locked up in a jail cell and have his freedom taken away for the rest of his life.
Feeling uncomfortable and humiliated, Jones expressed his concerns to Christina Coram, Diddy's chief of staff. But instead of addressing the situation, Coram brushed it off with, you know, Sean will be Sean. She downplayed Diddy's behavior.
All he did was say, come into the bathroom and talk to me whilst I'm naked. I mean, okay, it's not the best of I'm not supporting this, but I'm not saying that he deserves to go to prison because of it. And I'm not saying that he deserves to be sued for £10 million because of this. If I had invited someone into my house, and if I liked walking around the house naked, and if I wanted to be in a bathroom and said, I'm only going to talk to you whilst you come into this bathroom, I wouldn't do that. But if I did do that, I would feel, if that person's going to sue me for £10 million and then put me in a jail cell for 15 years because of things like this, I mean, it's not appropriate behaviour, but it's not criminal. It's not criminal. I'm not hearing anything criminal. And the fact that this case started off with, I can understand why he's in prison because of cases like this. Yeah. Well, I can't. I'm smart, I have a brain, and I cannot understand why someone would be put in prison if this is one of his victims.
Been labeling the inappropriate touching as friendly horseplay, saying it was just Diddy's way of showing that he liked him. But the allegations didn't stop there. Lil Rod also claimed that Diddy tried to groom him into sexual activities with fellow producer Stephen Aaron Jordan.
You know, I can imagine that being annoying. You know, here's Stevie Jones is here, and you know, why don't we have a threesome? You know, I can imagine that being like uncomfortable. But why would that deserve? If someone asks these questions, why do they deserve to go to prison just for encouraging it or trying to group, you know, oh, you know, it'd be nice, you know, it'd be really good, you know, there's nothing wrong with gay sex, you know. Okay, this probably, if someone doesn't like it, it's not great, but at the same time, it's not criminal activity. This is just someone being a bit of a pest.
Better known as Stevie J. Diddy, allegedly promised to pull some strings and make sure Lil Rod would win Producer of the Year at the Grammys if he went along with Diddy's demands. The lawsuit goes even further, detailing a wild Thanksgiving Day in 2022 at Diddy's Miami mansion. According to Jones, Diddy, visibly intoxicated, offered him cocaine, which Jones refused before heading to the restroom. But things took a darker turn when one of...
How many people have been in a club and been offered drugs by someone? You're not going to turn around and say, right, you deserve to go to prison because you offered drugs, okay? I know if the law gets involved, people who sell drugs or offer drugs, it's offering it free. People who sell drugs definitely deserve to go to jail for a certain time, and okay, it's wrong, and I'm not saying that this is good behaviour or that is right for doing this. I'm just saying that this is not a good reason. This is not a shockingly horrific event. They're not talking about a shockingly horrific event, and yet they're describing it as being shockingly horrific and stuff. A friend offering you drugs is bad and shouldn't happen, but it's not incredibly awful. It's not like he's attacking you or anything. It's not like he's hurting you. You know, you just say no and walk away. What is the... Okay, I get what the crime is here. You shouldn't be offering drugs to people, so it's not like it's not a crime, but there's no harm is being caused on anyone.
One of Young Miami's cousins suddenly burst into the bathroom and started groping him. Jones believes that Diddy sent her in there to sexually assault him. She then dropped to her knees and tried to perform oral sex on him, but Jones pushed her away and left the bathroom. However, So
he's in a party and a girl who's probably drunk runs into the bathroom, probably does a little jump on him. I'm sure I've seen these in the stations. You know, a girl's meeting a boyfriend that she hasn't seen in a long time, and then she sort of jumps onto him. You know, I can imagine that being kind of a normal behaviour in a party. It's just people acting a bit wild, and then maybe, I'm drunk, I'll give you a blowjob, you might want this, and then they're being like, no. And what, you're going to accuse Diddy of setting this up? Why would why would this event mean that Diddy has anything to do with this woman's behaviour or attitude? I mean, it doesn't mean that Diddy, or maybe Diddy did say just going, I think he wants a blowjob, made a joke about it, and he did it. So what? It's not like, this isn't a crime. Why? What's the crime here?
She didn't give up. She followed him out, undressing and attempting to straddle him right there in front of Diddy and his staff. Once again, Jones pushed her off. According to the lawsuit,
a lot of people try and strip. They get drunk and they strip in parties. This is kind of normal behaviour. It doesn't mean that Diddy's responsible for her actions, and to say that this is the reason why Diddy is in prison because of things like this, him touching his leg. Okay, it might be inappropriate, it might not. If you're in this situation and you don't want to work with someone like this, you just say, right, the deal's off, we're not working together, I'm going to stay in my house, you stay in your house, and we'll just meet up in the studio. You know, you don't have to live with this guy. He chose to live with this guy, he chose to party with this guy, he chose to do everything, and he would have realised that this groping has happened and would have said, all right, I don't want to put up with this groping, I'm going somewhere else. You know, I would like to go into some house where a bunch of guys look after me because I'm Christ and because I'm God and because I want the protection. But if I felt uncomfortable with them groping me, I would actually say, you know what, I'm not happy with this situation, or rather you just give me some money and I buy my own house. You know, I would actually start saying this because I'm uncomfortable with the situation. You don't just say, all right, I'm going to put up with this, and then after a year or 9 months of going through it, be like, right, I'm going to sue you with 10 million pounds because you did this. So it's just, and put you in prison. Make sure you'll go into prison for touching my leg every now and then. And this woman jumped up on me, and I think that you got her to jump up on me and offer blowjobs and pretend to strip, when really she's just drunk and probably might not have anything to do with, not have anything to do with Diddy.
Lawsuit. This incident paints a disturbing picture of how Diddy allegedly used people around him to orchestrate these situations.
No, it doesn't paint a picture of how Diddy is using people around. Where's the proof that young Miami jumped up on this guy and offered to give a blowjob because it was Diddy's command? How do you know Diddy had anything to do with this?
Situations, making it hard to escape or reject his advances. The lawsuit even includes pictures from that day, showing young Miami and her cousin, further backing up Jones's claims. But it gets...
What does that back up? It's just a picture of two people in a room. That doesn't back up anything. It backs up the fact that they were both in the room. It doesn't back up that they were being told to hit on this guy. It doesn't prove that. It doesn't prove anything. To think that it proves. Are people watching this and just being like, oh my God, Diddy's awful. Oh my God. I can imagine there being like a ton of idiots just watching this video, just sucking it all up. Oh yeah, Diddy's terrible for this reason too. And then without actually noticing, wait there, he's living in a big mansion. He's got, you know, all those luxuries around him, and what? He just has to put up with a couple of weird things where he's saying, oh, I'm going to put my hand on your lap and stuff.
It's even crazier. Jones claims Diddy provided him with footage showing people engaging in sexual activities at his homes. Footage Jones believes was recorded through hidden cameras set up around Diddy's properties. And it didn't stop there. On multiple occasions, Diddy allegedly took Jones's cell phone and started recording himself, leaving Jones with hundreds of hours of footage and audio. According to the lawsuit...
Took his phone and started recording himself. Are you supposed to imply that he took Jones's phone and filmed himself wanking off on videos on his phone? I mean, that is pretty weird, but I would say that's more something that a mentally ill person would do. I'm not saying it's good behavior. I'm not saying it's right. I would, if someone realistically did that, got someone else's phone and used it to record themselves wanking, I would say that they belong in a mental hospital, or they need to get some serious counselling. And I wouldn't necessarily say that it's criminal, or it's a bit gross, but it doesn't justify giving the victim, who's not a victim, the guy who owns the phone, I don't think it would justify giving him £10 million. You just need to just delete the stuff off your phone. If he's filmed himself wanking, just delete the video and just be like, all right, I'm going to stay away from this guy. Why did he not just say, you know what, this guy's weird, he's got a mental illness, I'm going to stay away from him? You know, if this story is true, even I don't even believe that it is true. I think this lawsuit is just a bunch of shit. To see the public's reaction to these stories and these allegations and these things.
This footage shows Diddy serving underage girls and sex workers laced alcoholic drinks at his parties, all while drugs like ecstasy, cocaine, GHB, ketamine, weed.
I'm pretty sure that footage that you're showing is just people drinking or mixing alcohol. Like you're mixing alcohol, strong wine. You know, you can mix vodka with beer, which is not a good combination. But if that's mixing vodka with beer, it probably is, because you're telling people that it's beer when really it's a lot stronger. It's bad and it's a crime, but I'm not actually seeing drugs being put in any of this footage. I'm not actually seeing drugs. You're trying to say that something there's evidence that he's drugging drinks, and I'm just seeing mixing of drinks. I'm not seeing drugging of drinks, and I don't know you're showing pictures. I don't know the girls' ages, and if he's having a party and he thinks it's full of 18-plus-year-olds, maybe there are a bunch of 16-year-olds, but that doesn't mean that he knows that there's 16-year-olds in the group. That doesn't mean that he knows that it's full of underage people. You're taking things that aren't true, mixing it with footage that could be showing anything, and then you're saying that this is true because this is what the footage is. You're not showing evidence of anything. You're just saying beliefs and mixing it with whatever images you can find.
And mushrooms were being passed around. It even claims Diddy was displaying and distributing unregistered.
I didn't see any mushrooms in that video.
Illegal firearms, turning his homes into a hub for serious criminal activity. The lawsuit also includes screenshots from the footage, allegedly showing Diddy with young girls and a sex worker, further backing up.
You can't just see a picture and so what if they're a sex worker? If someone chooses to be a sex worker, it's probably because they don't feel like they can get other jobs, or they prefer the money that you can get from the sex worker. Him getting with the sex worker, him sleeping with the sex worker does not mean anything. If there's pictures, there could be a billion pictures of him kissing prostitutes. Why is there? What's the crime? What is anything wrong with? What's wrong with that? It's not my choice. It's not my preference. I don't want to be getting with prostitutes, but if that's what he wants to do, then it's not a crime. It's a crime if they're underage, but if he does, it doesn't prove, those videos does not prove that he knows that they're underage. A lot of girls lie to get into parties. I mean, you have to be over 21 to drink in America, so there'll be tons of people that want to drink and would just lie about their age. By having such a high alcoholic age, you encourage people to lie about their age. Why? Because they want to drink, and if their 18-year-old sister is lying about their age and you're 15, 14, you might too lie about your age. Why? Because your sister's doing it and stuff. And so to assume that someone knows about it, that someone knows your true age is very different. Although I do think he did have some underage girls. But to be honest, I don't really see there's anything wrong with a 17-year-old or a 16-year-old drinking. I think you need to make sure that they're not getting involved in sexual activities. But yeah, just because they're at a party, that doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that all those things are happening. That's what I'm trying to say. I look terrible in this video.
Up the claims against him. But it wasn't just about the sexual misconduct. Jones dropped another bombshell, accusing Diddy of covering up a massive shooting. This added a whole new layer of seriousness to the lawsuit. According to the claims, on or around September 12, 2022, Diddy held a writers and producers camp at Chalice Recording Studio in LA. It wasn't just Diddy there. His son Justin Combs and Justin's friend, referred to as G, were also present, along with a bunch of other musicians. Things reportedly took a wild turn one evening when Diddy, Justin, and G got into into a heated argument. The tension was so thick they had to move the conversation out of the studio and into a nearby restroom. Jones says he was sitting just 2 feet away when he heard the commotion, and that's when it happened. Multiple gunshots rang out. Jones described going into shock, thinking he was next, scared he'd get hit through the door because of how close he was. When the shooting stopped, a crowd gathered around the bathroom. The door opened and out walked Diddy and Justin, calm as ever. But G was on the floor, curled up and bleeding from his leg and hip. Everyone just stood there, frozen, while G was bleeding out. Frustrated, Jones jumped into action. He dropped everything, ran to G, and started applying pressure to his wounds. Realizing G was bleeding from multiple spots, Jones lifted him and sat him on the toilet, yelling for someone to call an ambulance. As the paramedics arrived, Jones helped G to the front, but by then, Diddy and Justin had disappeared into another part of the studio.
This is a more serious story because it's got guns and someone being shot involved. But if G is the one that got shot, then surely G should be the one that makes the lawsuit. You know, the injury was done on G, not on the guy who saw this incident. You know, the case doesn't sound very good. And if he wants to claim psychological damages on this, I feel like there is more reason for him to want to do it on something like this because he thought he might have got shot. So if you want to try and sue someone, I think this has more claim or more backing to it. But because I've listened to all the other claims, and I think all the other claims just are not backed up by anything, I feel like this guy is just nitpicking and just trying to take as many things as he possibly can to try and present a case of trying to just gain as much money as possible out of it. So I think if he would have made a lawsuit and just focused on something like this, you know, I was in a room and someone got shot and I was concerned that I was going to get shot because I felt like I was in danger too because I could have been killed. You know, I don't know if you want to make some sort of claim like this, then maybe you can get some sort of small amount of, you know, 50,000 or something like. You didn't get shot, you didn't get harmed, you weren't really that affected. You know, I think if you want to make something like this, then. But with all the other things, you know, what really would question me is why are you still with him? You know, if you don't like all this stuff that's going on, which okay is not great, but it's not hugely bad either. But why are you still with this guy? Why are you still friends with this guy? You know, he's not forcing you to continue being your friend. It's like having a friendship for the sole reason of trying to dig up as much dirt on that person so that you can add it all together and later just slap it on as a big I'm going to sue you for money. You know, I would hate to have a friend who was pretending to be a friend and pretending to help me on business or whatever, but really he was just building up loads and loads of claims to gang up against me and try and say, oh, you did this wrong, you did this wrong, you did this wrong. Why were you still my friend? Why were you still living in my house? Why were you still pretending that everything was okay? You know, if you weren't uncomfortable with this sort of attention and this sort of connection that we were having, why did you stay around? You know, it is a bit like that. You know, I this sounds bad, but it should be the person that gets shot that makes the claim, and maybe whatever went on down, maybe the reason why he got shot was because of. Partly he deserved it for some reason. I don't know the story. I don't know why. I don't even know. I don't know who G is. So I've never heard of G being shot by Diddy, or was Diddy even the shooter? You mean if he wasn't even in the room at the time he got shot, then maybe he doesn't even really know what the argument was about. But yeah, I'm not defending Diddy, but I'm defending how people shouldn't sue people for things like this, because they didn't really get offended, they didn't really get hurt by it.
According to Jones, Diddy then gave strict orders for everyone to tell the police that he had nothing to do with the shooting. He even forced Jones to lie, instructing him to say that G had been shot in a drive-by outside the studio, completely covering up what really went down. Jones claims he still has the clothes he wore that day, which he believes may still have G's bloodstains and DNA, further proof of what really happened that night. But Diddy isn't the only big name caught up in this lawsuit. Another heavy hitter mentioned is Cuba Gooding Jr. For those who don't know, Cuba Gooding Jr. is a major figure in Hollywood. He blew up in 1991 with his breakout role as Trey Styles in the iconic film Boys in the Hood. That movie didn't just make him famous, it solidified him as a powerhouse talent in the industry. He went on to win an Oscar for his role in Jerry Maguire.
I don't care about how famous he is, I want to know the accusations.
According to the lawsuit, Jones claimed that in January 2023, while on Diddy's yacht in the U.S. Virgin Islands, Gooding allegedly groped him. The suit details how Gooding touched, groped, and fondled Jones's legs, upper inner thighs, lower back near his buttocks, and his shoulders. The lawsuit even provided screenshots of footage showing Gooding forcibly touching Jones aboard Diddy's yacht, further backing up these allegations. Cuba Gooding Jr. has denied these accusations, expressing surprise at being dragged into the lawsuit, calling it ridiculous. Gooding also
So Diddy has touched his legs. Does it matter? I don't care. Does he care? No, he doesn't care, because he doesn't know why it's going into some sort of lawsuit. He's confused about why someone is trying to gain money because of something that happened to him, not to us. He's not the one who's making the lawsuit. So why is he being dragged into this? And so what if Diddy touched his legs? Does it matter? It's got nothing to do with the person who's trying to make the claim.
downplayed his relationship with Diddy, explaining that they only had an acquaintance-level connection and implying that it was blown out of proportion in the lawsuit.
You guys close, but you guys friends, or?
They were acquaintances, just like I just showed you. Yeah. 2-3 times I've seen him, so it's...
Oh, so Diddy, you've only seen him 2 or 3 times.
That's what I'm saying! That's what I'm saying!
But Cuba Gooding Jr. isn't the only big name caught up in this mess. One of the major names is Luke.
He's not caught up in a mess. He's caught up in someone who's trying to make £10 million out of suing Diddy for things that didn't even happen to him. I mean, how can you say, I want £10 million? Why? Because Diddy fondled that guy's legs. He touched that guy's legs, so now Diddy needs to give me £10 million. Why? I mean, this guy said that he's only met him a couple of times, and maybe that guy did have some gay tendencies, and Diddy was trying to work out if he was gay too, which has got nothing to do with the person making the claim of £10 million.
Lucian Grange, the CEO of Universal Music Group, UMG, the powerhouse label behind Motown Records, which teamed up with Diddy's Love Records. According to the lawsuit, Grange was present at multiple listening parties for Diddy's Love album at his Los Angeles home. While his involvement isn't direct, just being there ties him to the environment where some of the alleged shady activities went down. Another industry heavyweight mentioned is Ethiopia.
What was even the crime about? This video is supposed to be about why Diddy is in prison and deserves to be in prison, and then you just start mentioning, oh, the producer, the manager of Universal Records was there when Diddy was touching people's legs, or touching one person's legs, one person who doesn't even want to have anything to do with this lawsuit and is confused about why he's being dragged into this lawsuit. This is a joke. This is a joke. I'm listening to this and I'm thinking this is all just a joke. Diddy's not in prison. This lawsuit is just bogus and doesn't make any sense. And this guy, this channel, Rap Daily, has just made this ridiculous video about how awful Diddy is, when really none of the things mentioned in it is awful.
Habtemariam, the former CEO of Motown Records. She was reportedly a regular at Diddy's homes during writing sessions and parties. The lawsuit claims she had a responsibility to ensure there were no underage girls or sex workers present, and to make sure Diddy wasn't spiking drinks with anything shady. Her failure to step in or speak up is seen as turning a blind eye to the whole situation. Fahim Muhammad, Diddy's head of security.
So why did you just bring her in? You brought her in saying that there was someone there at the party that was making sure that underage people weren't in there, and that Diddy wasn't spiking drinks, and what? The claim is that she just wasn't doing her job. The fact that the claim talks about her being there actually shows that Diddy was making an effort to make sure that there wasn't underage girls there, and that people weren't spiking their drink. This is ridiculous. I don't think that Diddy's in prison. I don't think that any of this is real. And I think that this is just someone lying through their teeth and just giving it to the public, and the public are just turning it into something that it really isn't.
Another key player named in the lawsuit. As Diddy's top security officer, he was in charge of controlling everything that went down in Diddy's inner circle. According to the suit, Muhammad had the power to make people and problems disappear, which allegedly included covering up incidents like the 2022 shooting at Chalice Studios. His role in keeping things quiet and handling the aftermath makes him a critical figure in this whole drama. With all these major names entangled in the...
Or maybe he was just a security guard and was actually doing his job, and this lawsuit is just a bunch of shit. Okay, I had not watched this video before I made this video. I just watched... I watched about 30 seconds of people talking about this lawsuit, and I was thinking, oh wow, finally I've got a video that actually talks about the victim. And I knew that it was going to go in this direction. I did not watch all that video before I'd made this. Before I said what I've said, I did not watch this video. But yeah, now that I have watched this video, I am more convinced than ever that this whole story is just nonsense, and it's just done just to see who is able to believe that Diddy did all these crimes, even though this lawsuit is just listing a bunch of people that are all denying that anything happened. You know, these people in the lawsuit are not on the person who's making the lawsuit. They're on Diddy's side, because they're not coming forward. I don't know. I think they're all keeping silent because I think it's a test for the public to see how the public responds to these lies. You know, that's what I think. If it turned out in like a year's time that all this was just lies, you know, people are going to look back on their response to how they handled this story, and are just going to think, I feel so stupid for believing that this was the truth. I mean, I don't know the truth, but from watching this video, I'm convinced that this is all just a bunch of lies being told to the public.